Okay, well, so good afternoon, Facebook friends, community clients. If do me a huge favor, you guys. We're gonna keep this fun. We're gonna keep this a casual conversation this afternoon. And if you're here, if you're joining me for the very first time on one of our Facebook Lives, do me a favor, just in the comment below, type the word one, number one, in the comment below so we can actually acknowledge you for being here. All right. And if you're brave enough, uh, type in your name or maybe even the city or the country you're joining us from. So, this individual I have a lot of tremendous amount of respect for. We just met literally maybe about a week ago. And when you meet someone, you feel like you've known them forever. Okay. And I know JodieLynn had sent me a bio, and I thought, I'm not even going to use her bio, and I'll tell you why. Because I want you to hear from her in a second, a little bit about who's JodieLynn and how she's gotten to where she is today. Because the conversation that I've had with JodieLynn and some of the posts I'm reading, I'm thinking, man, like what she's writing, there's no fluff here. What she's writing is inspiring, it's motivating, and it's uplifting. As an entrepreneur, as a dad, as a grandparent, when I read what she has written in her post, I'm like, if she had a seminar right now, I wouldn't even walk to it. I would run to it and want to learn from her. Right. So this afternoon, please help me to welcome my special guest, JodieLynn Craven. Welcome, JodieLynn.
Thank you so much. I am so excited to be with you. We had a formal conversation last week that was supposed to be 15 minutes that went for an hour. Uh,
Yeah.
we're both talkers. I love it so much. I can just feel your heart, Gordon, and that you're just a really great human. You have a really beautiful soul, and I'm just excited to connect with more people like that in this world.
Wow. Thank you. I've just tagged you and a few of my friends on here. So uh,
Awesome.
yeah, and if it's okay, I'm gonna share and tag this with a few more people as well.
Yeah.
Julian, what so for some of my friends who are watching right now, I know the topic says, how to overcome the fear of success. Before we even get into that, like how to overcome the fear of success, could you tell us a little bit about yourself? Who is JodieLynn?
I would love to. JodieLynn Craven. Well, I grew up on a farm outside of Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. So very small community. We had horses, we had llamas, we had pigs at one point, all of the
Wait a minute,
things.
llamas?
Yeah, we had llamas. Yep.
Wow.
We did. A fun fact, totally, outside of what we're talking about today, but my dad and my brother, and I guess me, because I was a part of the operation, we trained the first four up of llamas that drive in like a chuck wagon formation. So two and then two. I come from a big racing family. My dad used to race horses, and then I raced horses. My brother raced horses. My sister raced horses. And now my dad just announces. So that was kind of
Incredible.
our passion and just a weird thing about us. Um, but yeah, for me, I had this great desire to be something more, to do something more. I think, growing up on the farm, I thought I needed to move to the city and I need to make something of myself. And I was always really striving to make my dad proud, because he's like,
Wow.
I'm a daddy's girl, and a
There you
mom's
go.
girl too. I just wanted to make my parents proud. And for me, the way that I ended up in this specific position was by messing up a whole lot. I went to school and for nursing, and that didn't pan out. And then I started working. It was like $9 an hour sucks. So let's go back
Wow.
to school. And then I went into environmental sciences, and then I couldn't find a job. So
Wow.
I landed up in safety, which is really interesting. Worked my way up in that career, bought a house on the lake, in this small community just outside of Edmonton for $310,000 at the peak of the market. And then boom, everything
Wow.
crashed, my relationship along with it.
Wow.
And I found myself in this position where I was deciding whether to stay in a relationship that wasn't fulfilling me, wasn't
Wow.
wasn't good for me, only because of money, or to blow up my life, so to speak, go
Wow.
bankrupt, foreclose on a home, and live in my brother's spare bedroom. So I
That's
remember that
incredible.
day. It was a really interesting day because I remember when I made the decision, and I'm the kind of person, when I make a decision, that's it. I just go. There's no turning back for me. I've
Right.
just know that about myself. And the conversation was actually with my dad. I said, I can't, there's nowhere for me to go. There's nothing for me to do. Like, I'm stuck in this position. And he said, why?
Wow.
And I said, well, I have to claim, bankruptcy or consumer proposal. I have to foreclose on a mortgage. I'm 25 years old, like,
Wow.
that's
You have your
embarrassing.
whole
And
life ahead of you.
yeah, I have my whole life ahead of
Yeah.
me, and I'm going to tank everything. And he said, it's only money. You can make more.
Wow.
And
Say that
it
again.
was,
Your dad said it's only
it's only money. You can make more.
make more. Wow.
Yeah. And then he said something that, I want to repeat now, because I think it forever changed my life. And it's probably not the first time he said it to me, but he said, it's your choice. And he said, Jodie, whatever you choose, if you choose to stay, I expect you to be happy. Or if you choose to
Wow.
leave, I expect you to be happy, because it is your choice.
Sure. Is your dad some kind of guru or something?
Yeah, totally.
Like, that's incredible.
That's kept secret. Yeah,
You-
she's very
I like that.
philosophical.
Choose to be happy. Like, how many of us, and I've been there, right? Being in places where, okay, I'm staying, but I'm miserable.
Yeah. Why?
So why stay if I'm miserable?
Yeah.
Right? So if you're gonna stay, choose to be happy. I like that.
Yeah, choose to be happy, because you're choosing either way. It was your choice to stay, or it was your choice to go. And, I thought that day was the day that I made that decision. I was like, no, it doesn't matter. I can choose to be happy somewhere else. I can't choose to be happy in this relationship any longer. And, so I
Wow.
blew up my life financially. And I had really convinced myself, Gordon, that, I got into this position because I didn't understand the tangibles of money. So I thought, what better way to learn than to enter the financial industry? So
Then
I
do
did.
that. JodieLynn, before we get into that, okay? I
Yeah.
know, we're a lot of us are, pandemic, struggling financially, money, and we all
Mhm.
want to have more money in the bank. Come on. Like, when
Mhm.
someone says to me, oh, it's not about the money, I'm thinking, then what's it all about, right? Because when you think about, like, a kid's college education depends on money, right? Everything depends, good food, like if you want like to eat food, like everything we do
Yeah.
depends on money. But you went through some, you're so young, but you went through some hardships,
Yeah.
right? Because initially I posted something. A friend of mine saw the postcard on Facebook. It's the only thing I use. My kids are like, Dad, you got to be on Instagram, okay? But they saw a picture of you. She's so young. Like, how could she talk about fear and success? Like, but yeah, like at age 25, the hardship you went through financially,
Yeah.
emotionally, a breakup and
Yeah.
so on. Like, wow.
It was rough.
Talk to me a little bit about that as much as you feel comfortable, because because it's
Yeah.
Napoleon Hill says adversity, right? Through every adversity, through every how does it paraphrase adversity, um,
There's
failure
a
and
seed,
heartache. There's a seed of equal or
a
greater
greater
benefit, right?
opportunity. Yeah,
Opportunity. Yeah.
absolutely. So, rooted in my belief system and in my values is a couple of things. Um, Everything happens for a reason.
Hmm.
And when you're in the middle of like a crap storm, you can't see the reason most of the time.
That should be the title of your new book, In the Middle
Yeah,
of a Crap Storm.
in the middle of a crap storm. You can't see it. But I've always leaned on that cord, held on to that cord, that there's always a reason, and followed up with this. Every time I look back, it's better. I'm better. I'm where I want to be, where, I'm so grateful for the life that I have today and the people that I have in my life. And without that adversity, I wouldn't be here. So when
Wow.
I'm in the middle of that crap storm and I think, my life is ending, I think of that. Everything happens for a reason, and that it always ends up better. And now I've added a third one onto that. I believe that we choose this life and all that's in it when we come to it. I think,
Right.
whether there's like a green room or something we sit down in as a soul and we're like, yes, I choose that life, and you've chosen all of these things that are happening to you and for you in this lifetime. So if I chose it, then I'm going to get through it. And the other side is there's so much more on that other side. So that gave me a lot of solace. That being said, it was hard,
Mm.
and I think a lot of people in society are like this, when we're so wrapped up in what money means about us, when you have to go through consumer proposal, when you have to
Mm.
foreclose on a home, and when you have to go through those things,
Yeah.
talking about it is difficult. There is shame looped into that. I
Yeah.
remember there was, I called the bank, I was paying it off. I paid off my consumer proposal, and I paid too much and they owed me money. So I
Mm.
remember calling the bank, and the lady that I
That'd
talked
be
to,
nice when the bank owes you money instead of.
right? It's possible. So start thinking that the bank owes me some money.
Love it.
Yeah, that's right. But I remember this lady saying, and this had happened a lot through this time in my life, but this lady said, I said, I went through a consumer proposal, and usually I would tell the whole story, bad breakup, all of this stuff happened to me, and I just didn't have time for the story. And, to be honest, it was none of her business. So I was just like, I did a consumer proposal. I paid you guys too much. I'm waiting for a check. And she said, did you learn your lesson?
Wow.
And I thought, wow.
What a great question.
And I took a step back and I took a breath, and I felt her. I felt how she was judging me, obviously.
Mm.
I had the opinion that I was just some dumb kid because I sound really young. I
Yeah.
also look really young. So when I'm on the phone with her, I'm all bubbly and whatever. And she's like, this dumb kid racked up her credit cards and did this. And if that's the case, completely fine too. But it wasn't the case.
Wow.
And I told her the story, and she like gasped at her behavior and apologized.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing because most people would never even acknowledge, right? Let alone apologize. That's amazing.
It was amazing for both of us because it was an opportunity for me to disconnect that meaning of money. Because I went through this experience does not mean that I am bad, does
Mm.
not mean that I am unworthy of good things happening, does not mean that I am even bad at managing money. It was a mistake that happened, or
Yes.
it was a thing that happened that I get to choose to learn from and move forward from. It doesn't have to define me for the rest of my life. And it's
Wow.
the greatest thing that ever happened to me,
Why is that?
honestly.
Why do you think?
Because I learned so much. I learned to go deal with people through that. I have, 1,000 times more compassion for people who are stuck in that way or stuck on other things. I have felt that shame and that blame and that
Yeah.
anger. So I can relate when people are
You can
going
relate,
through it,
right?
even if the scenario is not the same. I can relate. And what I do now is help people move through it and let go of it so that they can
Yeah.
have a different reality.
Basically, let's talk about that because you now have a business today.
Yes.
And in that business, I think when I was reading, your portfolio is how many millions of dollars are you guys, what was it, nine? Was it 9 or 10 mil?
Just under 10 million. That's me personally. With my team, it's larger than
Okay.
that.
That's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah,
So
it's
now you're able
awesome.
to help
So
other, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, so I have two different businesses at play, three if you count my husband's. But I have a financial brokerage that's, I went into the
Yes.
industry because I wanted to learn, and the more I learned, the more that I wanted to help people understand because it was so complex. And one of my gifts is taking really complex things and boiling it down so that the everyday individual can understand. I don't think it's a thing where we're too stupid to understand. It's that
Mm.
no, the person that's teaching us isn't using our language. We need them
Yes.
to use our language. So that's how I teach.
So
So
we
I
can
have that
understand,
brokerage.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have that brokerage. I've had that for a decade now. We have an
Come on.
office
You don't
close.
even look like you're 18. How can you have a brokerage for a decade? Come on. Hey.
Forever. I will look young. Yes. I'm 36 in 4 weeks.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, I know.
You
It's not
have
that
your
old
whole
either.
life ahead of you.
That's right.
right?
Absolutely. So,
Amazing.
so I have the brokerage business where I help clients actually do financial planning and investments and insurance and all of that stuff. And then about 4 years ago, I started to go within, started to channel abundance codes. And I created an entire business outside of the financial one that is dealing with the energy behind money, the relationship we have to and through money, and how we actually block ourselves from receiving more.
That's incredible. You know, a friend of mine wrote a book. She wrote a book on about falling in love with money.
Yeah.
Why do you think people have a block? Like, give me an example why, like, what's blocking people from having a relationship with money?
Ooh, well, I think there is three voids that we
Okay.
create with money. And I talk about this in my book. Is the first one is the emotional side of things. You know, we look out into the future, and when I'm making $1 million a year or multiple six figures, or put your number in here, that I will feel joy, I will feel bliss, I will be excited. And then when you look at your day this morning, when you were about to get out of bed, how did you feel? For me, when I did that analysis, it was anxious and overwhelmed. I was,
Wow.
before my feet would hit the floor, I would feel like I should have done something already. I should have woke up earlier. I should be at the office already. I should have made 5 calls already. I should have done this. And it was this beating stick, this
Wow.
anxiety that was looping through me. And when I evaluated my day, the majority of my day was spent in anxiety and overwhelm. And
Incredible.
we're attracting to us what we are.
Yeah.
So I was attracting more things to make me anxious and more things to make me overwhelmed. I wasn't open and available
Wow.
to more coming into my life because of where I was energetically. And I think your energy speaks before you even say a word. People
Wow.
can feel you. So they're either,
Yeah.
magnetized towards you and they just want to be around you for whatever reason, or they're running, and we get the ability to control that. So that's one of
Amazing.
the biggest things that, disconnects us from money, that creates this void between us and money. The second one is meaning. When I
Mm.
have money, it will mean that I am good at a soul
Wow.
level, and I am worthy, that I've made it, that I'm successful. We tie all of these things to it. And when we're saying that, when I have this,
Mm.
in this moment, we're saying that we are not. You're not worthy. You're not good. You're not successful. That's not true. What makes, it's this evaluation, this self-reflection. What makes one
Yeah.
worthy? If you look at a baby, a brand new baby, done nothing, could even be a colicky baby. You look at that baby and you want the world for it,
But
whether it's yours or
yes.
someone else's, or I do at least.
Right.
I look at them and think, wow, I can't wait for this world to give you everything that you desire. And they've done nothing. They weren't a good person. They didn't say
Yeah.
the right thing. They didn't work really hard. But we connected to all of these things. But
Yeah.
disconnecting those cords and being in this moment worthy, makes you magnetic to receive
Yeah.
more.
I like that. Julie, let me ask you this then. You talked about how we want so much, like, whether you're a parent or a grandparent, you have a friend with a nephew, niece, you want everything, like your desires, you want all the best for that little baby.
Yeah.
Why do you think, like, how do people then, that little baby grows up, how do they get to a point where they don't feel like they're worthy? I'm
Oh,
not worthy to have this job, this house, the money, like, what happens? What happens?
conditioning. In my signature program, more, we start to unroot or uproot some of these patterns. And when I started to do this with myself, what I found with the things that I was working on is it was never about money. I'll
Mm.
give you a quick example. When I was 4, my uncle, who was also my godfather, passed away. And I'm
Mm.
4, so I have no idea what's going on. I remember people congregating and people crying, and it was late at night, and I knew something was wrong. I mean,
Mm.
I'm very in touch with the way people feel. I'm empathic. I can feel everything, and very deeply too. So I could feel their sorrow, but nobody was telling me what was going on. And I remember asking my mom what's going on, and she said, "Don't worry about it. It's not, like, we'll tell you later." What baby Jodie downloaded, at 4 years old, was that you can't handle it.
Wow.
And that belief system, that pattern, that truth about myself infiltrated everything, including money, infiltrated relationships. I was always looking for somebody to tell me that that person was good for me or the right one, or, I was doing the right thing, businesses, that I was good enough. And, it was so much so that I was running myself ragged, waiting for somebody to tell me I could handle it. I am good enough to handle it. That I remember my dad saying to me a couple of years ago, probably 4 or 5 years ago. He said, I don't know who you're trying to prove
Mm.
to and what you're trying to prove, but I already believe you're good enough.
Wow. Man, your
Yeah.
dad's pretty wise. We got to get him in on here and
Oh,
interview him.
yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. But, that had nothing to do with money, but it sure
Right.
impacted my money. I had this pattern of just overspending and getting myself in hot water. And then our world is proving
Yes.
us right. What we're looking for, we're finding. So I believed at the time, I can't handle things, including money. So then
Yes.
all of these proof, all this proof that I can't, the bankruptcy, the consumer
Yeah.
proposal, the foreclosure of the house, the this, that, I could think of 1,000 different things. I asked my dad for money to go on vacation when I was 19. See, prove, prove you right. You can't handle it. You can't handle your money. So every single time it was proving this false truth that I was connected to. But I had
Wow.
to go down and connect the dots with that truth. Where did it start? How did it start? How is it impacting everything? And repattern from the root. And that's what I think happens a lot of times, is we don't go deep enough within
Wow.
ourselves.
Wow.
And that's where
So
the
let me
magic
ask you
happens.
this: in your book or in your signature talk, uh, do you go deeper?
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
In more, which is my signature course, we go all the way deep, because that's where I believe that things transform. Because I tried the different books, and on money mindset, and I took lots of courses. I've spent lots of money on personal development in my lifetime. I've been doing it for a long time and spent all of this money, and it was making a difference, but it was about this big. I still
mm,
felt frustrated. So
wow.
in my signature course, I actually I have videos and I have questions to draw you further down, because when we're on the surface, we're not actually repatterning the stuff that matters. We're not having that transformation. It's in this deeper conversation of who we think we are and the
Yeah.
truth that we've subscribed to that change everything. Because once I changed that no, that didn't mean that I couldn't handle it. I was 4, for
Yeah.
gosh sakes, like they were trying to
Wow.
protect me. And then I began looking for evidence that I could handle it. Every single, traumatic event that I've been through in my life, I
Yes.
have handled it. I have come around the other side. I've done this, I've done this. So I was able to build a case on the other side of why I can handle it, why I am deserving, why I am worthy in this moment, regardless of anything outside of me.
Wow. That's incredible. Julie, then when you and I had a brief conversation the other day, one of the things that I noticed was exactly what you just said. Like you're so good at making individuals do some more self-analysis. I don't know if that's the right word, like really dig deep in what's really the root causes of the problem. So for any of my friends who are watching right now, this is JodieLynn Craven, and she happens to be a member of Land for Success as well, which is absolutely incredible. But more importantly, she's gone through some hardships of her own. She's bounced back. She has an incredible brokerage that can help individuals become financially free. And her mindset, in terms of mindset, which is so important, she just has an incredible book and signature programs. Is that the right word?
Yep.
Right, to really, help you break free from things that could be holding you back. But I want to talk about now, switch gears for a minute. We set the topic for today would be about how to overcome the fear of success. I mean, doesn't everyone want success? Like, why would even people be afraid of success?
Oh, it sounds silly, right? Why
Yeah.
would you be afraid of all the things that you want? It's a deeper fear. So what I have come across is it one has to do with what we think it looks like. So when you sit in the stillness, and you think about your desires of whatever it is, multiple six figures, seven figures, eight, I don't know, it doesn't matter. Whatever that is that you immediately think of, you're also underneath that thinking about all the things, all the work it's going to take to get there and
Mhm.
all of the sacrifices, depending on how you're programmed. So if you're like me, the first thing that came up was bloody hands. It's
Wow.
going to be
Bloody hand.
hard, bloody hands.
Mm.
Yeah. It's got to be
That's
hard.
the
It's going to be
farmer
like,
in you, right?
yeah, like,
No.
yeah, exactly. But it's so interesting. I talk to a lot of people about this, obviously, in my signature program, and most people think of the same thing. You know,
Yeah.
what is hard work? Bloody
Yes.
hands. Your hands are hard and calloused, and, it's this grinding effect. So it's not the success that they're afraid of.
Mm.
It's they have connected that success to this grind of work.
Wow.
Okay, and then we go deeper. So, okay, what are you afraid of with that grind of work? We
Mm.
do everything for a reason. If you're trying to get yourself to do something, make more calls, book more appointments, talk to people, go out there, network, whatever it is, and you can't
Yes.
get past that, you're like, oh no, 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 I just can't seem to get myself to do it. There's something there. It's because you're protecting yourself in some way. Your brain, your body is designed to protect you. So, what are you afraid of?
Mm.
What's on the other side of that? Well, if I work like that, for me, this is what came up. If I work like that, I'm going to die.
Wow.
I'm going to die. So, do you think my brain's going to let me go through with that?
No. Wow.
You're supposed to keep you safe, so it's gonna let you die. So if you've connected, your desire, and the way to that desire is through this extraneous amount of work or whatever it is, and you think you're gonna die, your brain won't let you do it. No wonder you
Mm.
can't get past. Like you feel like you're going and can't get there, right? It's that
Right.
feeling. So okay, another thing could be, if I spend all, it's going to take a lot of time. This
Mm.
one comes up a lot of time to get there, to build that business and do all of those things.
Right.
So much time, so much so the fear on the other side of it is I won't have time for anything else, AKA
Mm.
my family, my loved ones. And
Wow.
okay, what happens after that? This is the bottom line. Okay, if I don't have time for them, they're going to leave me.
Mm.
And I'm going to be all alone, and then I'll
Wow.
probably die. It always comes back to
Dying
that.
lonely, right? They're afraid of dying.
Yeah.
I I love that. I was actually, I'm glad you said that because I was actually thinking when you said, people are afraid of success because of no time. Like I don't have the time to actually work on my business. But
Yeah.
you were actually talking about taking time away from maybe family, things that I enjoy. I never thought of it that way. And then
Yeah.
losing some of that. Wow.
Yeah. Even yourself. For me, I watched close family members go through being bipolar and, these crazy
Mm.
upswings of 24 hours worth of work and then these crazy crashes where they were really sick. And watching that, I had this underlying fear that if I continue to work at this pace, I'll just end up in the hospital and then
Wow.
die. Like for me,
Wow.
for whatever reason, it always goes back to death. Maybe people
Yeah.
aren't that extreme, but I know myself and what I'm afraid of. So it might
Yes.
not even be that I'm not going to be able to spend that time with my family, but it
Yes.
might be I'm going to be so overworked and overwhelmed that I'm
Wow.
going to experience like bodily failure. And
Failure.
that,
Yeah.
you know, it will be tragic and like dramatic. Our brain always dramatizes everything. That's why I think I always say death, because people are like, whoa. But when you start asking these questions of yourself, like, okay, it's not the thing that you receive. Well, we'll get there in a second. But you have this desire of this stuff, whatever it is, the dollar figure, the amount in your account, whatever it is. But you
Mm.
also have the programming of what you think it's going to take and what you perceive you will lose
Wow.
if you go down that road, right?
Yes.
And I mean, even on the other side, when I get there, there's this fear that some people carry of when I get there, when I have the money, maybe then I'll start doing things differently. I'll buy
Mm,
different things. I'll drive a different car. I'll live in a different house. What if my friends and family don't like me anymore?
wow. All these fears. That's
Yeah.
wow.
That's why I say you got to go deeper, because it's not the actual success itself. It's what we have tied to it and through it that we're truly afraid to face. But when you start looking at it, so where we go from here is we start looking at it and ask this beautiful question of, well, two questions: who says, and is it true?
Wow. I
Yeah.
like that.
So
You say that again, those two questions.
who says?
Who says? Who
Who
said it?
says?
Yeah.
Yeah. And is it true?
Is it true? Wow.
Yeah. So who says that it has to take, because in our mind, we're very specific. Who says it has to
Yes.
take thousands of hours? You have to be up at the crack of dawn and go to bed,
Yeah.
at
The 5
midnight or
a.m.
1 o'clock.
club, right? Unless you're in the 5 a.m. club, you can't succeed. I love sleeping in.
Me too. Yeah, me too. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think even for women, as they go through their cycle every single month, the
Mm,
hormones change so drastically from week to week. I heard of a stat. I have no idea where it's from, but somebody once told me that a woman's brain changes when they're before menopause,
okay.
changes every single week.
Wow.
So you're getting a new woman every single week.
Every single week.
Try showing up
Now,
to things every single
now
week,
you tell me this. No, I'm just kidding.
right? I
Right?
know.
Wow.
I said,
That's
sorry, husband, but I mean, being a woman and having a
yeah.
ton of, leadership around me that
Yeah.
was male and super masculine. And I love men. And I think what they bring to the table is
Yeah.
so amazing. What I've learned from them is so incredible. And women operate differently.
Mm,
So if your brain changes every single week, like, you got to give yourself some grace to show up a little
yeah.
differently every
Absolutely.
single week. And
Wow.
men are different in that capacity, but it still applies to men, as things happen with your family or your life, and
Yeah.
we have these stringent rules on ourselves. It has to be this
Yeah.
way. Who says? One
Wow.
guy said that. The 5
Right.
a.m. guy, he said that. Sure, people are successful, but there's that guy, I think it's Roger Bannister. Everybody
Yep.
in the world said that he couldn't. You
4 minute
can't do it. You
mile,
can't
right?
run it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And he proved them wrong. And as soon as he did, there was
Yeah.
multiple people that did the same thing.
Yes.
So it's
It's
what you
incredible.
actually believe is true. And
I
if you
love
can
that.
find at least one person who has broke the mold, who has done it differently, it means that you can too. And when you
Wow.
question these things, who says it has to look like that? Is it true that that's the only way to do it? No. The
Wow.
answer is no. I've never had it be yes.
Right. It's amazing when you have people say this is the only way it can be done, right? I just want to say thank you for Patricia Lynn Stokes is here with us from Kingston. Jay is here with us. So, today I have a very special guest, JodieLynn Craven here with us. And Jodie, here's a shameless plug. You are also a member of Land for Success. Can I put you on the spot? Would it be okay if I put you on the spot? In maybe 30 seconds, what for some of your friends who may be watching who don't know, like what the heck is Landed for Success, right? 30 seconds, what do you like best about Landed for Success?
Oh man. Okay. I haven't been in Landed for Success long. So I'm going to give you the short version of what I saw. I truly believe in energy and feeling into people. And I believe the right people come into our lives at the exact right time. And that's how I met Jay, was through Niru introduced me to Jay. And Jay and I just had this beautiful, wonderful conversation and said that I should join Landed for Success. And I kind of was like, okay, whatever. My thought was, where there is one, there is many. And
Mm,
then I met you, partner,
wow,
who's
I like that.
a wonderful individual. And I'm just cracking the iceberg of this beautiful platform with all of these incredible people. But again, where there is one, there is many
I like it.
individuals who are
Wow,
like that.
I love that. Where there's one, there is many. Allison and Kendra, you haven't met. They were saying to me, Allison was saying to me today, we're now talking to someone in Australia. They last week they talked to somebody in Japan. Uh,
Oh,
Doing this today, I had an opportunity to talk to someone in the UK, somebody in Portugal. So you're right, right? And it's where there's one, there's many, and it's not even just right here at home,
yeah.
right? Like there's folks
Around the world.
everywhere showing up in this community right now.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to the fear of success. You think like,
Sure.
man, I want success. I'm just going to walk through the front door. You said one of the biggest fears was having bloody hands. People are afraid of hard work,
Yeah.
right? And the second one was, how can I forget? The second one was
Well, they're afraid of how it's going to be. So the hard work, the time that they're going to take away
time.
from their
Yes. Okay.
family, and then that no one will like them once they get there. Those are kind of the
Wow.
big three that come up.
No one will
And
like them once they get there. That's
yeah,
scary. Like I'm going to have success and I'm going to get there and then no one's going to like me.
yeah, I'm gonna be all alone. So what for? Like we're naturally, I think, I don't know what the word is, but we want to be around people. We want to be around those we love. So if your brain actually thinks you're gonna repel everyone because you have money now,
Yeah.
either you'll get the money and you'll repel everyone, or you'll just never get there because you'll stop
Wow.
yourself. And I, I think I truly believe we get to create whatever it is that we want, whatever truth that we believe, we will recreate in our lives. So if it's the bloody hands one, you will have to work like a dog. It will be a grind for
Wow.
you to get up that hill.
So
For
what do you
me,
say to
that's
people today? There are some folks today that you shouldn't have to hustle, you shouldn't have to grind. What do you say to somebody like that? Because there's people who
well,
it should be easy. Have you
well, it
heard some
is
people
if
say
you
that?
believe it.
Or if you just buy these courses and programs, you push a few buttons and you never have
Ah,
to do it
yeah,
again, and you're gonna
yeah.
make
Okay. Well, what I say to those people is, do you actually believe that? So when
yeah,
you're sitting in the stillness and
yeah.
you're like, it's so easy. I don't have to do any work. Listen to that little thought within that
Wow.
says yes or no. Do you actually believe that? If right now, if you took a breath and asked yourself that question, the majority of people on this planet would say no. Okay, so
Mm,
that's where we start. That's
yeah.
where you ask, who says it can't
You
be
said it.
easy? Who says that
Wow.
you can't have money come out of, random places, like the bank owes you money or the government owes
Mm,
you money, or, whatever it is, someone randomly connects with you and says, I want you to build me a
yeah.
program and I'm going to give you 10 grand to do it. Okay, great.
Wow.
There's all these billions of ways that these desires can come to you. But if you fundamentally do not believe that it will be
Mm,
easy, it never will be for you. If you
wow.
fundamentally believe that it's going to be a dogfight, that you have to hustle, that you have to grind, then that's what you will create in your life. I
Wow.
was there. That was me. I would be the first one in the office, the last to leave. By the time Saturday came around, I was drooling, looking at a wall because I just had nothing left to give. And I was experienced adrenal fatigue. I had friends, but I mean, I didn't spend a whole lot of time outside of work. Like when I was at work, I was feeling guilty that I was at work because I worked so much. When I wasn't
Mm,
at work, I was feeling guilty that I was doing anything but. I was convinced that I had
wow.
to be working 24/7. And I mean, I tanked relationship after relationship because of
Yeah.
these belief systems. And for me, well, the one thing that I wanted most in my life was to find my partner, to find the man of my dreams, to have kids. But I wasn't
Yeah.
allowing space for that. And my belief system did not believe that it was possible. I
Mm,
had to work. I couldn't make time for them.
right.
When I began to shift that and ask who says, and is it absolutely true? And find
Mm,
examples to support that I could take a breath, that I
love it.
could enjoy my life, that it could be easy, that it didn't have to be a grind. I began to experience that. I used to
Amazing.
work a ridiculous amount 4 years ago. And now I would say I have three businesses and I work less and I make
Wow.
more. So,
That's incredible.
but you have to change you
Wow.
if you
You got to
really want.
change you.
Yeah.
So I love that. I'd like to maybe just finish there and love to have you come back again and maybe
Sure.
have you take like any one of the topics you talk about and go, deep dive even more into it.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. And if anybody's watching, please watch the replay because JodieLynn, you've shared some incredible, incredible stuff
Thank
today
you.
already. And thank you for sharing about your story. I want to ask a couple of questions just so our folks can get to know you a bit better. Do you mind if I put you on the spot?
Sure.
Okay, so I know you've already shared with us how, thank you. I mean, your authenticity of, you said, you know, how do I put it? You had the education, because everyone says go get it. You had the education, you had the relationship, you had the money, but you also, lost it as well. And
Yeah.
emotionally, that's gonna be tough, but you bounce back. So thank you for sharing all that. So I also want to know, JodieLynn, 3 questions. Okay, well, I'm gonna wrap up with these. What is your favorite color?
My favorite color is green.
Green. Okay.
Yeah, like emerald green. I just love it. Yeah.
Okay. Now, if you ice cream and yogurt, what's your favorite ice cream and yogurt?
It has to be cookie dough ice cream. Like hands down, love cookie dough ice cream. If I'm gonna eat ice cream, because I have a slight lactose intolerance, it has to be with a waffle cone.
Wow, with waffle cones.
Yes.
There you go.
I was
Okay,
I was really nervous about these questions. They're great.
there you go. Well, those were the easy ones. I love waffle cones. My kids are like, Dad, like fill it all, like when you're putting ice cream in, like just fill it all up first and then put the ice cream on top.
Yeah.
Last question. If you could wave a magic wand right now and do one thing for JodieLynn, not for somebody else, okay, what would you do? Because I know, you're as a coach, as a mentor, you're always thinking like, how can I serve? How can I help somebody else first? So I want you to maybe shift that paradigm for a minute. If you could wave a magic wand right now and do one thing for JodieLynn, what would you do?
Wow, that's really hard. I can think of things that I'd like to do for the world, which would obviously benefit me. But one thing specifically for me right now, if I could, oh, I would really love to wave a magic wand and travel the world.
Wow.
That's what I'd like to do.
Wouldn't that be
Travel.
amazing?
Yeah, it would be amazing. Yep.
Where would you go? If you could go
Oh,
travel.
I want to go on a food tour. I like food.
Okay.
But I would like to go, I would like to go all around the world, but I definitely want to go back to Rome, and I want to go to Spain, and I want to go to Greece. I just want to see all of the places, Egypt.
Yeah,
Yeah, I just want to go on a full world tour eating.
that'd be nice, especially with the pandemic, right? Being over now. Now,
Right,
is Alberta
right.
open now? Like all the restrictions are lifted in
Yes,
Alberta?
just
Yeah.
just recently. Yes,
Yeah.
I live in the middle of nowhere, so it's hard to say that there's a pandemic going on because I have no neighbors. I have
Yeah.
120 acres of land, my husband and I, and there's not a
Wow.
like a soul in sight. So there's nobody out here for the pandemic to live.
Like
So
who are you gonna isolate from, right? Like all the
yeah,
deers. Well,
yeah.
yeah.
I could think of other things that I would do too. If I could wave a magic wand, I would set up this place to be a place where people could come and heal.
Talk to me
That'd be for
about,
the world.
that. Paint a
Yeah.
little dream for us. Like
Oh
what
man.
else would this place, what would it look like?
We have we have 100 we have a 40-acre lake in the back of our
A
property.
40-acre lake.
And that's just what touches our
Wow.
property. So on the other
Okay.
side, it's 80 acres in total. You wouldn't want to go swimming in it, but it is so beautiful. So I
Wow.
would set up hot tub hammocks so that you
Okay.
can drink coffee or whatever beverage you please and just watch the sun come up or go down, whatever, while you're sitting on the lake and just watching the wildlife. At the back, there's like beautiful white beach sand. I would have like
Wow.
cabins back there. It's completely disconnected from the world. Essentially, you got to walk back there, you can't drive yet, we haven't
Wow.
made a bridge, but just a place where you can put your feet on the grass and you can take a breath and you can just be for a minute.
That's amazing. Sounds like a nice retreat for Land of Success members.
Sure. Yeah, I'd love that. Sure. Anybody that wants to come visit me, I like
That's
people, so
incredible. In
yeah.
terms of food tour, it's really funny. When I went to Germany with my in-laws, I'd never been to Germany, and we had sausages and sausages and sausages and sausages. And so one day we ended up in Berlin, and I disappeared for a few hours, came back, and they asked where I was, and I had to tell them. I didn't want to tell them. I found a Chinese restaurant, just happened to find a Vietnamese restaurant. So that's where I went. And then a few years later, I'm in Paris with my daughter. Guess what was the first restaurant we went to?
Chinese restaurant.
Vietnamese restaurant. And
Oh,
you think
yeah,
of Paris, right?
Yeah.
So travel's amazing. Yeah.
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 I just want to learn more about people. I think one thing that has been difficult over the pandemic is connecting in that way. And I think for me anyway, I think the world learns this way, but I can only speak for myself, is that when I hear your story, what you've been through, then I can begin to understand. Not fully, because I'm never in your shoes and I never will be in your shoes, but I can have an understanding better than what I have today of what you've been through in your life. And I think those experiences make up the world that we live in, and I want to learn them. I want to.
Absolutely. And our stories are important, like the one you shared earlier, right? Because when you talk about overcoming fear and money and having abundance, I'm thinking, well, what would you know? And then here you're sharing, like at age 25, you had already lost quite a bit, right? But in travel, my grandson was born in September last year. I haven't seen him. So yesterday, JodieLynn, I finally booked a flight to Hong Kong.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be there for 4 or 5 months.
Oh, I'd like to go to Hong Kong too.
Have you ever been there?
No.
You would
I
love
had
it.
never gone on a plane until I was like 21.
Wow.
So yeah.
Yeah. Well, Hong Kong is definitely a place you do need to visit.
I just want to see it all. This world is so incredibly beautiful and diverse, and I just love learning. So I just want to see all the things, and I want to learn. So if someone wants to be my tour guide in another place, I'm down.
There you
when
go.
we're allowed to leave the country, I'm coming.
Yep. So if anybody's watching and you need a coach, you need a mentor, you need a speaker, you know who to call. JodieLynn. Well, JodieLynn, thank you so much for being here. For anybody who's watching, thank you for joining us. And before we go, do you have any final thoughts at all for the folks who may be watching? Any final thoughts?
I would answer the question on if I could wave a magic wand and change something. For the world, if I didn't have to, do it for myself.
See how hard that is? See how hard that is for somebody like yourself who's so giving. Like Napoleon talks about going the extra mile. Right? We're talking about waving a magic wand, doing something for JodieLynn. Now you're saying, what can I do for the world? I love that.
Yes. Well, I think when we change ourselves, we change the world. And what I have learned is how to disconnect and how to redefine my relationship with money. And if I could wave a magic wand for the world to do the same, to experience a life of abundance and peace and bliss in this moment right here, that's exactly what I would do.
Wow. That's powerful. Well, thank you so much. And folks, if you want to reach out to JodieLynn, leave a comment below or direct message me, and I'm happy to get you connected with her. So once again, everyone, thank you so much for being here, JodieLynn. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the time. It was awesome. I love talking.
It was. Thank you.